feels like you're already at the English Channel ready to head back to England. It takes hours to get to the other end is what it feels like. But here's a look at Hayden Harder in the number 5 machine in 6th place. That's that Porsche 911 GT2 chasing it's that Max Baumann just ahead of him in the 89 Audi. Through Radion here, watch the aero push following the car ahead of you. These cars don't have quite as much aero as a GT3 to lean on, so you don't have all the stick in the world through that really fast section of racetrack.
Seeing those spectators there in ACC. Hello, everyone. That could be you, Chad. You could be there this year at the 24 Hours of Spa.
There's a really cool grandstand that they put in on the outside of Eau Rouge and Radion, that whole complex, and it might be one of the most breathtaking spectator views in all of international motorsports. So if you're near Belgium or have the ability to see the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, that is a place that I would recommend. I've never been there, but just by looking at it, I can tell that that'd be a cool place to watch.
Incredible. There's a little bit of a pub on the start of Eau Rouge down on that hill. So.
Oh yeah.
It is. It is. I've been there. It is fun. It's a great time. I mean, everyone just comes into the race, hangs out. It's kind of like a mini city that kind of happens at these longer endurance races where folks are, helping each other out. And if you need some water, I have some extra. Hey, what do you recommend? Where should I go? Start conversations with strangers and have a good time.
I always love when as a spectator for any race, fully immersing myself in the culture of whatever, the local food and drink is. So anytime we're down there for the Indianapolis 8-hour presented by AWS at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that's a pork tenderloin sandwich there. Of course, here in Belgium, it's probably a waffle or some fries with mayo. And while that might repulse some people here from the States, I love that idea. Maybe you could tell that I was a mayo fan, but I think it would go great on fries here in Belgium.
That is correct. No one is driving the Mercedes here today's race.
Yeah, it seems like the Maserati and the KTM and the Audi seem to be the popular choice. A couple Porsches as well. Hayden Harder continues to be the front running of the Porsche GT2s. And we'll battle here with Pierre-Olivier Cloutier, the third place car, chasing Hamza Golzar, who hasn't yet served that pending drive-through penalty, but he'll stay up here for now and create a pretty interesting battle with the front four, Ash, at the moment.
If I'm not mistaken, Cloutier also won our Indy PRI race. So it's very incredible to see him and other sim racers in our chat kind of continually come back to these community races, continually support SRO and sim racing, and also offer advice in the Discord. Slide,
and around goes, I think that was Colodromo in the Sim Racing Alliance car. And, yep, the KTM went for a real big moment in Lake Holm, just got the balance a bit wrong, stood the thing up on the nose on the brakes, Ash, and around it went. So that's how quickly things can change. Cole was running in third, but will drop way down the order now with that little mistake.
Yeah, especially personally for me, I always tend to carry a little extra speed, and depending how well I do that and modulate my acceleration, I end up doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, I mean, managing, I said earlier about steering the car with the pedals, it's all about weight and weight and balance management effectively, right? If you throw the car in there at a really high speed and then shift all the weight forward, you're taking all the ability of the car to keep itself straight off. Whoa, big slide there from Hayden Harder. Here comes Fantozzi in the Maserati around the outside. That was a daring move, but he wasn't able to complete it. All chasing Baumann in the 89 Audi. This is great stuff here for a top 5 spot.
And luckily in the chat, we're discussing about eating fries with mayo.
See, this is a great idea, and I think that, again, I've never had the Belgian version of it that is so popular over there, but there's not a lot that fries go poorly with, if I'm being totally honest. And mayo doesn't feel like an incredibly offensive thing to go with a fry, right?
I agree. No, it's not bad. I've had it. It's pretty good.
So
and the mayo is different over there, so.
Don't knock it until you try it. Yeah, it's probably a different, I imagine it's probably a different sort of mayo. Got aioli's popular here in Chicago. Maybe it's more like that. I don't know. You tell me.
And while discussing mayo, we do have battles up and down the grid here. Still currently looking at P5. But again, we have that battle. Did we jump into the pits here for?
Yeah, looks like the Hamza Golzar car has come down pit lane. I don't know exactly where he'll pop out, but either way, it's going to shift Lovering to be leading by about 1.5 seconds over Cloutier in the number 1 Maserati. So it's 2 Maseratis, and then Baumann shifts to 3rd. Hayden Harder to 4th, and then Fantasi here in 5th. The battle you're watching on screen is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 5th is the car here. Whoop, a little bit of a slip and slide in the background there between McClendon Jr. and Galvao in the 813, I believe, as they went for a little skittering on the entry to Lake Home.
Yeah, and in addition to the varying skill levels of these community races, these cars also came out yesterday on ACC. So good reminder that a few of these drivers may have not had the experience to drive it yet or till tonight.
Yeah, again, with the drivers being so brand new to this, there's going to be a lot to learn, and I think you know, even just the visuals inside the car are different than what you're used to. And the penalty for Hamza Golzar was potentially an out-of-place penalty on the pace lap there. And you're just sitting in a different spot. Everything looks different out the windshield, even though the cars might share some of the same dimensions. It's all foreign, and you know, you have to get used to it. Otherwise, you can make little mistakes that will take you out of the race.
And I think for now, I mean, we still have 31 minutes left. They still do have to pit. If you're in P4 or P5, I mean, the battle we are watching, what would you do, Kyle? Would you kind of wait for an opportune moment? Are you constantly attacking? What would be your ideal strategy here?
Well, you know, I think if I'm, you know, P4, P5 at the moment, I'm keeping my eye on my lap times here, and especially in relation to those drivers that I'm trying to chase down or run from. And once I have a decent analysis of where my pace is, that might determine if I come in sooner, like this. Fantasi's going to hit pit lane, saw the traffic ahead of him, maybe thought that I was losing time to the front runners chasing the cars ahead, so he's going to hit pit lane. But if you're gaining time, then there's not really a reason to hit pit lane any earlier if you can run them down on the racetrack. So that's an early pit stop there for Fantasi, but he'll get that required stop out of the way and run the final 30 minutes uninhibited as we get a look at Scott McClendon Jr. In this Maserati, chasing Galvao in the green and black KTM just ahead.
A bold strategy, Kyle. See if it pays off for him.
Yeah, I mean, you look ahead, and if you see that you might get slowed down or you're in a line of cars, you're almost always going to go slower if you're, you know, packed right up on the rear wing of the car ahead of you. So I like that call for the, you know, the drivers that can make it work. I'm not sure yet if it'll completely play out, but we have yet to see. Of course, Coadromo as well is back because of a slip and slide, so maybe they'll get their pit stop out of the way and just focus on running clean laps for the rest of the race.
And Shot did ask mandatory refueling, and yes, mandatory refueling, fixed refueling time of 25 seconds. Tires are optional.
Yep, and so Fantozzi in the 70. Whoa, a little wide there for McClendon Jr. Watch those track limits. You talked about it in the pre-race, Ash, that you got to keep the car on the road. And they do add those curbs and those lines for a reason. If you run out of bounds too many times, that will get you in trouble with race control. And behind McClendon Jr., I think that was Galvao that slipped. No, that's actually, Galvao's still ahead. It's Sceptura behind in a very similar looking car. And then right behind, it's Correa in the Audi, the 88.
I just know how ACC is with track limits and penalties, so I'm always wary here in Spa. And yeah, these, it looks beautiful, and I appreciate that a lot of folks do come in here from time to time while we're doing our live stream of the Fantastic GT World Challenge weekend. And doing our watch-alongs of the races, and people ask if this is ACC, or if this is sim race or real racing. So it is always interesting to be like, no, it's real racing, I swear. I know we do both here, and it can be confusing sometimes, but we do both, I promise.
I think one of the most convincing things about ACC for me is the soundscape. If you, you know, the visuals are very convincing as well, but I've had many times where I've been just moving around the menus while loaded into a server, and just the sounds that you hear are just exactly like the real thing. Even down to the commentators, Ryan Marine, who's the TV announcer, and Amanda Busick, who's our pit lane reporter, they make an appearance, at least in an auditory sense, at a couple of the North American racetracks here, which I think is brilliant, that everything sounds exactly like you'd expect at the racetrack here in ACC.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that about Ryan and Amanda. That's awesome.
I don't know if it's just Laguna Seca, but I think some of the other tracks, I'm pretty sure Watkins Glen, Coda, and Indy also have their commentary in the background. So it is a detail that I noticed right away, and it was actually really funny. I actually texted Ryan about it. He was laughing about it. Big slide there for McClendon Jr. He's off course there to the right of the Lake Combe, and that's, again, how quickly things can change. Same corner, and I think the same kind of car we saw go for a slide earlier, is it not? Yeah,
and that was a great avoidance by the 88 and the 812 there after that slide. Nearly hitting, but luckily escaping. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and things happen so quick, and that's the other danger. You know, we saw Fantozzi hit pit lane early. That's one of the considerations. If you have a bunch of cars ahead of you, any moment that they slip or make a mistake, you could get caught up in it. So, you know, maybe just get out of traffic and run laps. And Fantozzi is the only one of the cars on track at the moment that is good on course till the end of the race.
Still some incredible battling here, and SRO Motorsports in chat is asking, should we switch up the weather?
Yes, always. Well, here's the thing. I love when weather is unpredictable because it creates a scenario that forces drivers to have to adapt and react in real time, and that's just like the real world because you don't get to choose the weather, and often it's not ideal. And sometimes you plan for it to be not ideal, but it ends up being great. So I love the adaptation that drivers have to make to it. I think it makes real races extremely dynamic, and I love that you can do the same in ACC.
Going a little wide there. I believe that's Scatura. Let's see here. Okay, perfect. Again, able to avoid that sausage, that red sausage curve there in the chicane. That always seems to schmurder certain people out, especially in a new GT2. I do appreciate in the chat that Lord Trollington says do it and changing the weather. So keeping true to the name, we appreciate it.
I think it's always fun to kind of throw a wrench into the plans that everyone would just thought, oh, it's one of those rare, fully sunny all the time days at Spa Francorchamps. Oh, maybe not. As someone asked earlier, was I hinting at the weather? I wasn't in the knowledge of any situation that was going to happen, and neither were the drivers. So they're going to have to figure it out in real time. Do you have to switch to wets? We're almost halfway through this race. So, even if it starts raining, would you consider, if you're Fantozzi, for example, he's got slick tires on the car still. Would you consider just trying to stay out on the dries in the wet weather and just try to outlast everybody else? But we don't even know if it's going to rain yet, so we will see.
You were not hinting, essentially.
I wasn't not hinting, yes. Yes, so, you never know. But it is still currently quite sunny, and, you'd think you'd see the clouds roll in before that as we watch Coadromo. Big slide there on that dark green surface. That's actually AstroTurf. That's supposed to kind of prevent drivers from driving on it without requiring all the maintenance that grass provides, but it is very slick at times, and if you put right side tires on it and put load on those tires, they might not grip up very well. So Dromo almost got himself in trouble here. Big launch on Korea and the 88 just ahead in the Audi, and they're scrapping for positions here through Campus and over to Stavlo.
I just don't want a commentator's curse to happen. It's been too long, and it always occurs.
Well, I can tell you, it almost feels like it's on demand now. when you, whoa, a little contact there maybe between, is that Scatura and the 812? Yes, and then the Audi of Korea dropping back a position or two. And all three of these cars on top of each other here through Blanchimont. This is thrilling stuff back here for about 6th place. And all three of these drivers still have to make their required pit stop, so maybe one of them will bail out and avoid being held up anymore.
Up ahead, Levering still holding on to that P1 position, and slowly pulling away from Cloutier, +4, Harder, +7, but Matt right behind Hayden here in the Audi versing the Porsche.
Yeah, so about 4 seconds from Levering back to Cloutier, as you mentioned, in that number 1, and the battle right now is closing for 3rd as well, but the one we're watching actively is Dromo and Scatura. 7/10 of a second, that's 4/10 back to the Audi behind, and this run down the Kemmel Straight always closes these battles as well. With that slipstream, that front car pushes all the air out of the way, and the trailing car is going to draft up to it, doing less work to move the same distance, and that's why you get that kind of a suck-up effect. And whoa, one car off. Was that Gavau in the 813? I think it was.
I can't see what happened there.
Yeah, it seemed like it was the same thing that, no, Galval's still, well, is he rolling now or is it a different car? No, I'm not sure, but either way, you know, that first entrance to Lake Home has been the challenging corner tonight. For whatever reason, I think drivers are getting into turn 7, that right-hander, and then they're slowing up a bit to turn back into the left, and as they're hitting the brakes, they still have steering angle into the right, and they're kind of throwing the car around on the nose. We've seen it happen to 3 or 4 different drivers now, but it just shows you how on edge these cars can be.
I wonder who that was.
I think it was Galvao in this 813, but I could be wrong. It was there's a couple of cars that have the same livery, and that's what's making it confusing. And a couple of them also start with 8. Yeah, it is. Now you can see the timing catching up there. So Galvao down the order a little ways in that 813. Sceptura and Galvao making it tricky on us with the similar numbers and paints as well. But here is a look at it right ahead of the 6th place car. So yes, it was the 813. Drives in there really hot, gets wide up onto the curbing, and does a nice job to correct it, Ash, but just too much speed and try to keep it on course. And at that point, that's one of those moments where you just have to accept that you're off track and just go straight.
And luckily hit the wall. Jumping into the pits here, Sceptura, and there is 21 minutes left. There is a mandatory stop. Oh, we have a few folks jumping into the pits here.
Yeah, and this makes sense right around halfway. So, you know, if you weren't planning to do anything particularly special with strategy, you might as well split the race in half and pit it around the 20-minute to go mark. That's what I would do, you know, just not think too much about it.
Right.
But now they're on pit lane, and this will be resuming the battle immediately when they get back on track.
And for folks
go ahead.
And folks who haven't pitted, do you think it's going to work out for them going a little bit later?
Well, if you're the top 3 and you didn't have anyone pressuring you, I don't see any reason to panic and hit pit lane immediately. I would just, you can't run the tank out because the tank would take you past the 40-minute mark, so you're going to have to come to pit road at some point in the next, 10 to 15 minutes just so that you're not pitting on the last lap effectively. But I don't think it'll be any disadvantage. I don't think it's worth taking tires in a race this short. So you're really just going to be refueling the car. So the pit stops should all be around the same time, and it's really just traffic dependent when you hit pit road. So I'm not sure it'll be a disadvantage at all, but we'll see how things pan out when Cloutier pits out of the lead. Of course, Leverink in the 2 is also, I think, come to pit road this time, so Leverink's given up a few spots.
And chat really wants rain.
You know, if you wish, it's like watching a pot of boiling water, right? If you wish it, it will not come.
Maybe we'll do a wet race soon, but
maybe at that next community race at Bathurst. Yeah, let's do that. Let's really create some chaos, as if it wasn't hard enough already.
Yeah, Bathurst is one of the races that does terrify me. One of a few tracks that I've yet to master, seemingly averagely.
It just feels like everything on the Australian continent is out there to get you, and Bathurst is one of those places.
Touche.
If the spoilers won't get you, then maybe the track will. So, into the braking zone here for Max Baumann in the Audi, and 89 still. Baumann's one of those that has not yet pit, so the drivers with the green boxes, they have satisfied their pitting requirements. Those with the yellow have yet to come to pit road.
It's asking, when is the Bathurst community race and how do you sign up? By joining the Discord, which I will put click that link that Nightbot has so graciously dropped in there. So join the Discord and then you'll see signups closer towards the Bathurst race. It's currently TBD if we're going to do it before Bathurst or after Bathurst, but it will be around the time of the real Bathurst race.
Yeah, I've done a handful of, I think it was a couple of years ago now that we had the SRO, at least that I was on the SRO Esports broadcast for Bathurst. We did a full 12-hour race and team event and everything. It was a lot of fun, but that track has the tendency to really make things interesting if you're not very well practiced. this track, Spa, you know, it is unforgiving in places, but there are other places you can make a mistake and you've got 3 miles of pavement to catch you. Bathurst doesn't have that anywhere. It's concrete and dirt everywhere off track. If you make a mistake, you're going to hit something.
Currently settling in 17 minutes and 38 seconds left of the 40-minute race. Who is still up to pit? Let's see here.
So it's going to be anyone with a yellow box. So Bauman, McClendon Jr., RM Shark Food, and then D'Alessandro in the 70. Of course, Castillo and Hickman also have yet to pit in their number 69 and 4 cars, respectively.
Do a time. Bauman's away from Cloutier here. Oh, building that gap might be actually a very good choice. I guess I don't know how long. Do we know how long the pit time is? I know we have that 25 seconds of refueling mandatory, but in total.
Well, how long does it take, or how long does it feel like? Because it feels like you could graduate college in the time from when you enter to when you exit, but it's quite a long time. I think looking at the times on my timing screen, it's looks to be around 2 minutes just to get in and out of the pit lane, including the stop time. So, and it sounds like a pit lane penalty for speeding in pit lane for Castillo. It's a stop and go plus 30 seconds, I believe. Stop and go for 30 seconds. So that's a pit lane speeding violation. And again, that comes down, Ash, to hit the button too late, or release the button too early, or forgot to press the button at all.
Yeah, we did talk about that earlier in qualifying. Speeding in the pit, gotta be extremely careful. Regardless if you accidentally click the button. I mean, we've talked about how folks map their button and they were going for a radio call and hit that pit limiter, so.
Yeah, and I've had that happen also where on my particular Fanatec wheel, which I love a lot, it's a McLaren rim, and the toggle switches, I have one mapped to the pit limiter, and it goes down and up, and I had forgotten which action I had set to be the limiter, and so I hit up on it when it was supposed to be down, and that got me a penalty as well. So just little things like that, especially in a new car when the mappings might be different, or you might have changed a mapping to better suit your control environment. It's really easy to make that mistake, but that's why you have to be really cautious in pit lane, because you only get one shot at this, and it's not a 12-hour race or a 24-hour race where you have time to make up for mistakes. If you make it once, it's game over.
I'd be interested to see where Bauman gets out after being in the pits, seeing that he was in P1 with his timings. I'm going to make sure I keep an eye on that just for my own curiosity and stats.
Seems like he just satisfied the requirement. I saw him sitting down there on the downhill run to Eau Rouge in the pit lane, so he should be good now, but he's rolling out. Look at this battle, by the way, between Leverink there and Cloutier, and a little wide there and over the rumbles at Lake Comash.
That was great.
As Calvin would call that, argy-bargy there for a moment, a little side-by-side into Lake Home.
This is P2 and P3 that we're looking at.
Yes, 1 and the 2, both Maseratis. And this should cycle. Yes, and they should cycle to be our leaders as well, right? Because McClendon Jr. owes us a pit stop. So this should cycle to be the top front runners, and it's 16 seconds back to Hayden Harder. So these two have got some laundry left to fold here amongst themselves. This is going to be interesting to watch.
Apologies, did you say some laundry left to fold?
Yeah, you have tasks left to complete, and this is one of them. You know? Oh, trouble for D'Alessandro in the Porsche Motorsport 70, and off in the gravel. I think that's at Stablo. Looks like we'll get back rolling again.
Luckily avoiding any incidents with our soon-to-be race leaders once Clennon Jr. gets fit there. But again, these cars did come out, 1, yesterday, and 2, we allow all various skill levels, and if you're a professional sim racer, if you're a hobbyist sim racer, if you just picked it up yesterday, feel free to join our community races as you see fit through the information in the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. Join us and be part of the next one here. Looking at Coadromo again. Remember, there was a bit of slips and slides earlier for this number 59 car, but back rolling again in 6th place and about 2.7 seconds behind Fantozzi in the number 71 Maserati that's just ahead. That bright red car back for the lead though, Ash, down through Eau Rouge and Radillon. This is game on up here at the front.
Sometimes you just want to hear the cars, you know?
Let them rev out and then onto the brakes, onto the binders again into Lake Home. Little slips there for Cloutier, but Loverink's keeping him honest here. This is a great battle between these two. And, you know, in a multi-make environment where you've got different kinds of cars racing, it's often, so it can be frustrating to have to race another car that is identical to yours. You know, I think Loverink might rather be in a different car just so that there's some kind of advantage. Now it just comes down to the drivers between these two running the exact same equipment, as we note some more penalties for Max Baumann in that 89 Ash drive-through penalty for that Audi. Yeah, it's not quite as bad as the stop and go for 30 seconds that Castillo got, but it is still a penalty that will take Baumann out of any run for the top 5. So that is a consideration. McClendon Jr. still has not made that pit stop as we approach about 11 minutes to go. But this is the battle that will cycle to be for the lead between Cloutier and Loverink. This is going to just be a great scrap between these two blue Maseratis.
I was looking at the entry list and I thought Cloutier and Loverink might have been teammates with the similar cars, you know, just the same exact liveries here. Their cars 1 and 2. And I was like, oh, maybe they just wanted to be, you know, doing the teammate thing. And they're not. So
yeah.
Here they are. There's some fierce competition going on. And I think this will be, out of the race, the passing to watch for the remaining 10 minutes and 54 seconds. So I'm looking through the grid. Kidromo is 0.4 seconds away from Fantozzi. And who else will be close enough for that last couple of laps battle?
This is going to be really good up front here, but Fantozzi and Dromo are also getting close for 5th place. So we'll keep our eyes loosely on that, but this is the most exciting one for the moment right now. Down the main straightaway here to Eau Rouge, right over the river, stained red with iron oxide. That's where it gets its name from. Onto the curbing, over Radillon. That was a big cut there by Cloutier. You don't want to get yourself in trouble with a cut course there.
Imagine the penalty just popped up on the screen.
That would not be fun.
Side by side here now. What will happen like last time? Are they going to go wide? Oh, a little bit of... saved it. Wow.
That was wild. I think we just started there. I think that was a deposit, and we'll see if there's a withdrawal here by the end of the lap as they get down to the rest of the corners here. Loverink there in the number 2, just ahead of Cloutier. There's the 4 of Michael Hickman. Another blue Maserati. That was very tight. You cannot do that through Speaker's corner there. That was very dicey. And through goes Cloutier again in the number 1.
He's taking that withdrawal in the bank that you might have mentioned just a corner ago. Glows might be off now after a little bit of that side-by-side contact.
Yeah, you know, the rules of engagement, I think, were specified when they went down there into Lake Home, and they went and leaned on each other a bit. And, you know, it's all fun and games until there's paint traded on the bodywork, and all of a sudden that guy turns from we go from co-opetition to just competition at that point. And it's definitely game on up front as we get a look at Bruno Fantozzi, who is just behind Coadromo. He's just lost that spot to that 59 KTM.
And when you're racing, you kind of want to remain, gosh, it's easy to get upset or, you know, it's just emotional while you're racing, but you want to keep that level head. You want to make sure you're still hitting everything, executing everything as perfectly as you can for your advantage and not letting it get to you, because it's just as much as a mental game as it is physical. I
think there's so many races that are maybe not won mentally, but are lost mentally. And, you know, even right now in the heat of battle, you know, Loverink has an opportunity to strike back on Cloutier. 6/10 back, 8 minutes to go, plenty of opportunities. Don't throw it away for yourself just yet. You know, you're not defeated until the checkered flag flies. And same goes for Fantozzi here on Dromo. Lost the 5th spot, but if he can get his head in the game here and try to keep up with this 59, he's still got an opportunity to run him back down if he can find some kind of advantage, or there's traffic to contend with as well. Up over Radillon, though, for the leaders and down that long Kemmel straight.
I did want you to know, I did ask Kyle if I could say the very heavy American mispronunciation of all the corners. He said no. They